threw the resume out there. I went and never looked back.
Wow.
And it fits. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's the dream job that you sit back in as a little kid and be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to be a lawyer, doctor, but being a first responder, I've been in the mix for a very long time. Personal training, stuff like that is always you touching somebody's life in some type of aspect of trying to get them motivated to do something a better way. It's no different from, you guys doing this show right now, doing stuff in church and, talking and motivating people to be a little bit different. And that kind of goes into the field too, as well. Like you said, people do think as corrections and prison stuff as a one-way street of just bad people. It's basically that, but at the same time, it's people making bad decisions at the wrong time.
Okay.
And that can reflect to a lot of different things and different elements. So,
yes.
I have a quick question. So, what do they call you at work? So, is it? I know they don't call you correctional officer. Is it Officer Whitfield? I mean, how do?
So, I'm a correctional officer, but my title is correctional sergeant. There, that's my title there. I'm also one of the attack assistant commanders there, which is another demographics of my job. I'll kind of get more detail with that based upon other conversations that we have later on. But it's basically Sergeant Whitfield. Is how they get addressed, everything but by last name.
Okay.
So
everybody, even the officers, what about the inmates?
Everybody is addressed by their last name or their title. So I might get Sergeant Whitfield, Tat guy. That's how they kind of address it. Okay,
I just wanted to make sure we address you properly because I know titles mean a lot. So I just wanted to make sure that we was, giving you the proper title. So Sergeant Whitfield, gotcha.
So brother, you told me that you grew up you didn't want to be a correctional officer or work in a prison system when you was growing up, did you, brother? Ain't nothing you ever thought in your life was you would actually be doing. So when you first started your first day in a prison, and this is the reason why I'm asking this, brother, because we just had one of our young friends that we know that he just got incarcerated, and we get to talk to him and see him, and we pray for this brother every day. I mean, we are so adamant about praying for him and making sure that he has some type of connection outside. So while you're in there on the opposite side of what you do, man, what training and what things that you literally have to go through mentally, physically, to get you prepared to be in a prison and working with inmates? Let's start there first.
So when you apply, you take a test, physical agility test, things like that. And once you pass, they send you to academy. The academy is based upon, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, depending on, the situation. And they teach you based about handcuffing, rules and regulation, how to search, expectations, the mentalness, but kind of preparing you for what you're about to see. I didn't get a tour of my facility in the beginning at all, which is kind of weird in a sense of a lot of other joints that we do go to. But once I physically got in the building after being trained, there's a certain technique that we use for combative inmates that we use, joint manipulation, things like that we are taught as well. But once I got in the facility, I'll be honest with you, I expected the worst.
Wow.
I expected the worst of the worst. I expected to be terrified. I expected for it to be phenomenally literday just bad.
So let me jump here real quick because you just said something. So your first day going in the prison, okay? Mm-hmm. You said what you were fearful Or were you scared your first day?
It wasn't more scared. It was, the best way I could put it is, you know how, okay, let's say you pull into work, right? And before I go in, it's this mentalness that I'm like, all right, what am I about to expect when I walk through this door? So I cut off at that point. I pretty much cut off work life, home life, whatever, and I get into like business mode. When I walk through the door, I say I expected the worst, and it was nowhere near what I thought it was. And my thought process or my visual, as you say, spidey sense was always on alert, but at the same time, it was dialed down probably about 60%. And, I'm walking around, like, I've got my hands up and, I'm walking around with, lieutenants and stuff like that. And I'm like, they say to the academy, don't let somebody walk up close to you. And I'm basically like being your shadow. And people are like, man, what you doing? Take a step back. You relax. I'm like, nah, you know, and, but I had to physically see as the day progressed how things was moving, but it made me more aggressive in that aspect that when I toned it down and started realizing how stuff was moving on the day to day and how it was, the flow was, it was like, okay, this is okay. I can chill and relax, but my antennas is up for seeing anything out of place or out of pocket. And that's when I will respond.
What is one of the biggest misconceptions that you would think working in the prison people would say that's one of the biggest things that they say that really don't happen? Because when you think about a prison, you think that it's scary. And
it can be. I'm gonna say this. Every institution, prison, if you want to call it, we call it institutions, are different. You got low, minimum, and high aggression in locations. A low is, you walking around like a day to day, and it seems like a normal work job that you're going through, and it's really not as intense. You get up, you go to classes, you get your education while while you're incarcerated or whatever the case may be. And a minimum might be a little bit more aggressive, where you might see more fights, you might see more different things that may occur. Max, you get a little bit more fighting, you get a lot more people that, try to commit suicide or things like that, mental health issues, things of that nature. But I don't want to like level the situation because, like, for example, you in Tennessee is ran totally different from Illinois. So you will see things different. Mexico, things like that is going to be a lot different. For Illinois, from my perspective of where I am, you get fights, things like that, but it's been at a very minimum because we've been controlling the situation, so they know what to expect when they get there. It's not like when you go to, so how it basically works is, let's say a person get pulled over. They go to the local police department, right? The police department transfers to a bigger location. In our case, Illinois, it would be like 26 in California or somewhere like that. Once these locations get enough individual in custodies, they ship them to me in Illinois, which is a receiving center. They come to us, they get processed, they stay with us for a period of time before they get their actual sentence of how much time they're going to get. If they're a medium, low, or high aggression individual, and then the system or authorities that make that deemed necessary will send them we put them on buses and they go to those different locations of a minimal, a max, or a high prison.
So your prison is actually a high max prison. Am I correct?
It's considered a max location. Yes.
Absolutely. So In there, bro. What's been one of the biggest, like, has it been a big fight? Has it been a big situation the way it literally you had to come out of your comfort zone and literally get in and rough somebody up, fight somebody, get into any type of altercation with anybody?
My third week of being there, I'll start with that one. We were doing some basic feeding in the yard. They were doing yard. They came in for cafeteria to do some feeding, and we ran a line. The guy that was in the front of the line decided he wanted to kind of let everybody pass to get to the guy that was in the back of the line, and they basically started fighting. Our instant watching line is go break it up. It's kind of weird. It's like, you know, if you see a baby fall, you have a quick tendency trying to grab the baby before they hit the ground, right? That's how it comes off. So instantly, you know, you jump in, you try to separate. You may get hit, you may not get hit. That's part of the job. Has it happened? Yes, more than once. But the ideal of it is to break it up as quickly as possible, get them handcuffed, and get them to medical and get them secured as quickly as possible, without trying to interrupt the actual flow of everybody else, so it's not to a situation where it's a riot, which is a whole nother situation.
So, Twan, I got a question. So, you know, I watch a lot of TV. So, the things we see on TV, is that kind of realistic in what you're telling us now? You know what I'm saying? Because we see all that stuff on TV, the fighting and different things. Mm-hmm. So, is this something is similar to that?
It's similar. Don't like a lot of stuff you see on TV is as close as possible, as accurate as possible they can get without. It's TV land, you know what I'm saying, in a sense. Mm-hmm. Some stuff is scripted out, but if it's a fight, it's a fight. So think of a real street fight. That's what's happening. A lot of shows, they show people getting hit with broomsticks and, you know, all kind of wild stuff. Yeah, it happens. People jumping off of balconies and just doing weird things. You see it all. Like every day to me is a new TV show. Wow. I'll put it like that.
Wow.
So that's how I treat it. You know, new episode, new day. I leave. All right, 3:00. It's time for me to go. Turn the TV off.
That's one. Okay, so I don't know if my husband remember this. So I used to work at a prison a long time ago. Yes, me. But I worked in the accounts payable part. I did the office work. And okay. So for me, at lunchtime, we went behind the gate to go eat, and we ate with the inmates.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my, you know me, I was terrified because I was like, what if something pop off? What if they, you know, get to fighting? What if they just try to kidnap me? I had all kind of thoughts. Oh my goodness. But I just couldn't handle when you go behind those bars. I mean, it's clap. It's like doom. And I'm like, you all are losing your freedom. You know what I'm saying? Because when I'm on that side of the wall, I felt like I didn't have any freedom at all, because I'm like one of them, because, you know, when they close those gates, it's closed until it's time to come back in. Yeah. And so I just couldn't fathom. And then the food, I mean, I guess some days they did have some good stuff, but the majority of days I'm like,
is bad.
How in the world do they eat this? You know? So, I mean, I think every day, you know, I thank God for my freedom, that I'm not on that side. And then the ones that are on that side, I just lift them up in prayer, because your freedom is truly gone. You know, you got somebody to tell you when you wake up, you know, when to eat, you know, and I know they got little activities, but sometimes you might not feel like doing it, you know? So your freedom is honestly taken away.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
I want to throw something in here real quick. Good question, Monica. What's the percentage, brother, when you look at the percentage of African Americans versus Latino versus European brothers? What's the biggest number of nationalities in prison at your prison right now?
African Americans.
So it's definitely African Americans.
Yeah, it's roughly, without being 100% accurate, you probably look about 80%, 75, 80%.
Wow.
African Americans. Yeah.
So I want to die. I want to stay here for a second.
I want to ask one
Go
right
ahead.
quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, do you honestly? Because I know you. I'm quite sure you developed some kind of relationships with some of them. Correct. I'm saying some of them you
It's
can tell.
it's a respectable rapport. I'll put it that way.
Okay, but you just can't be too friendly with them because you don't want to give them the wrong impression. Correct.
Correct. So the reason why I'm saying that way, that a mutual respect of agreement, is because when they say, we always tell people, our officers, when they come in the door, you're not supposed to be friendly with individual customers. You don't know what they're here for. You don't have a sheet of everybody's background. You could talk to a guy, like you say, you was having eating in an area where there were individuals walking around and working. You're like, man, this is crazy. They may be MSU workers where they're doing their time, but they're getting paid to actually serve food. So they're not trying to mess that job up by doing nothing. They trying to do their time, get paid, and go. They get into education, things like that. So their mentality is a little bit different. So it's like, this is my everyday work for me. I'm cool. You ask me to do something, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do it. That's what the officer, they respond to any officer. If they say, hey, do me a favor, go sweep that up, they go sweep it up. That's their job. When other cases, that's people we call, you say in those four walls or behind those closed doors, those are the ones that have not been served their time or convicted of their full sentence yet. So they're a little bit more aggressive as far as what to do, when to do it, how to do it. I expect this. And there's certain things they're supposed to receive on a daily basis. And when they feel they don't get it the way they want it or when they want it, they sometimes act out of character something. And going to that respect and rapport is me going to that cell going, hey, what's going on? Figuring out, or we call de-escalation, trying to figure out what those problems are and see if we can get them handled before they escalate to doing something of harming themselves, assaulting another officer. Could be from anywhere from them coming out the cell, hitting on somebody, throwing feces or some type of liquid substance on them through a chuck hole, through a crack of the door. Any of those things is considered assault. So I try my best to get ahead of those things as quickly as possible. When officers say, hey, I got a guy in this cell, he's asking these questions, he's got his windows covered up, you go talk to him. At the end of the day, I'm not a judge. I'm not judge or jury. So the respect level that over the 13 years that I've been there, is I'm gonna talk to you like a grown man. That's what we are. It doesn't matter what you're here for. It's not personal. It's business. Get what's going on. They tell me if I can help you, I'll help you. If I can't, I'll tell you I can't. If I can look into it, I will. But I don't try to spin nobody off, as we say, or I'm going to do it and just never come back. Because then that's how they feel like, man, I'm not being heard. And that's the reason why they act the way they act.
There we go. You done you opened it up very well, the conversation where I want to come back and ask you. So do you get a chance to rehabilitate any of these brothers, pray with them, talk with them, help in it? Because when you say 80% of African American brothers are in your prison, I can just imagine the numbers in the prisons all over the United States, the world. Brother, do you get a chance to minister to these brothers, pray with them, talk to them, help these brothers? 80% of African American brothers in prison. Do you help? I mean, what can you do for them, brother? Talk to me. Talk to me.
In situations, every situation is different, right? So it's not my job to basically, like, I'm not going to pray with you, because we have chaplains that do that.
Okay.
If you got a serious problem that you feel like you're having a mental breakdown, we have mental health counselors that we bring you and have you talk to them. And when those situations happen, depending on their conversation with them, mental health will either they will give them reading materials, Bibles, scriptures, crossword puzzles. They'll make more time they might need to talk to their family. So they'll talk with a counselor, try to give them a phone call. It could be somebody who's, parent is, has passed away and they going through it and they can't get to the funeral or whatever case may be. And mental health will talk to a counselor and say, okay, we're going to set up where you can talk to your family or see the funeral video, Zoom, things of that nature. The part that I personally deal with is when they're coming from getting to those locations and the mindset that they're in. At that point in given time is they can be violent. They can lash out. Their personalities where yesterday he was talking, laughing, and joking. Today he just completely quiet. That's a red flag for me. That's not his normal behavior. So in that particular case, especially if it's a zone that I carry every day, I'm like, hey, Mr. John Doe, what's going on? You kind of quiet today. And he really ain't talking. I'm going to be a little bit leery. Hey, when you get ready to let him out to go to yard or healthcare, whatever, let me know so I can be present.
Yeah.
So Twan, can some days, because every day is not a peachy day, some days you go to work, you just don't feel like being bothered. So can they have those days? But like you say, that's still a red flag for you, because in there you can't really have, I guess you really can't have a bad day because it sets out for a different vibe for the officers.
Yes.
Wow.
It's like saying, if you went and got your coat out the closet, right? You're not thinking about that small space at all. Because when you close that door, you got 3,000 square feet of your house.
Mm-hmm.
You right? You know what I'm saying? But if you actually walked in that closet or you in your bathroom, you look around, you like, I'm in here every day, all day. I can count the cracks on the wall. I can count how many tiles, this, that. It gets to you. And as an officer, you got to kind of understand that mentality, like, yeah, I got a badge. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But you have to also understand that process, that mental process of this is what this really is. And I'm not saying me personally, I believe you got different eras of officers, just like people always say, you got good ones, bad ones, in betweens, whatever case may be. You got to pick and choose. I tell inmates, pick and choose who you can talk to. Pick and choose who you can engage with and who you can't engage with. If you know this officer don't engage in you and do things that you ask to do when you snap your finger, that's what it is. It's on his time. He running his unit. Other officers may be up and down. Oh, I got this. Let me get you this, da 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 da. And it's the things they supposed to have coming to them, but it's 15 people asking for the same thing. And the officer like, I'm overworked. No, you're not overworked. You have to micromanage what you're doing. Say no. And then once you finish your job, then say, okay, if it's not a medical emergency, I'm going to get you what you need. You need tissue. I'll make around and pass out tissue. I'll make around and pass out soap. You guys got shower today. I'll make sure you get what you got, what you're supposed to have during that time frame. But again, going back to, like you say, getting these guys out, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of their mindset, and just talk normal. You just like we talking and still talking normal. And how's your day going? Oh, I'm going good. All right. You got a business day? Yeah, I got a business day. All right. Well, hope you have a good day. You're still being cautious.
Man.
So, Twan, do they take a shower every day?
Yes. So pretty much they're entitled to doing, like, we do it on a different shift, on evening shift. They rotate the days. So let's say they'll do 2 a week, within a week, twice. Thursdays do nothing Thursdays for us, which means they don't do showers or anything like that.
For the whole day? You said for the whole day?
For the day we'll do, because we have intake. So when we say that, we have a large intake from Chicago that comes into the receiving center. So sometimes we may get 80 to 100 some guys coming in from all the joints across the state coming to us, Will County, Cook County. Yeah, so those days are processing days.
So you don't have time to go get them to
So
shower.
we don't have time to do those showers on that specific day. So we cut it so that Monday through the other days, that's what they're receiving.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? And then on day shift, they may say, well, we're gonna run yard, and then we run phones. Afternoon, we run phones again. So they get 2 opportunities to say, hey, I didn't get a chance to meet my family on day shift. Maybe I can see them and, talk to them, get through on the evening because they work. So it's still a communication process.
Right. Man, I love the fact to hear that you try your best to help out the inmates, as much as you can with the position that you're in. My question right now, have you ever seen anyone in your 13 years leave that place and really make a change, and you kept up with them or knew anything about them as they progressed in life?
I will not keep up with anybody who has left the prison. That is one thing I will not do. Have I seen people outside the facility of Illinois out shopping, things of nature? Yes, multiple times. It's funny because, like, I'll be out with my wife and stuff, and everybody calls me by my last name. So if I'm in a store and they be like, "Hey, Whitfield," I know and she know it ain't a regular person who know me. That's not a friend. That's somebody who probably seen me from work. So immediately, hey, y'all go a different direction and let me engage with this situation. And then it could be somebody going, hey, remember me? I was a boot camper. Hey, I remember I was there, 4 years ago. And I appreciate you looking out for me. This is my wife. And they introduce me like, hey, don't come back. Good job that you succeeding yourself and you making yourself better, but don't come back to you shouldn't come back to see me. That's the biggest key.
Okay.
Now, I will say I've had some people who left on a Monday and they back on Friday or Wednesday.
Wow.
It's happened.
Wow.
And a lot of times when situations like that happen, it's because they did something in the world. It could be gang related, whatever, did somebody wrong, whatever case may be, and they don't want to be on the street. It's safer for them to be in the prison.
Wow.
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 Wintertime get worse because it's cold outside. But in prison, I get 3 meals, I get a shower, I get phone.
And you don't have to work.
It's weird.
Bruh, that is so weird, man, for you to...
It's very weird, yeah.
So some of them literally take on the mindset of, hey, I can do better in here instead of being out in the land of freedom. So I just take another stripe to go back in just to be safe in prison.
But you gotta realize when they get out, they don't know what freedom is.
Whew, Lord Jesus.
They so consumed with what that everyday life is that when they do are out, like if they don't have beef with somebody or some whatever case may be, they're not used to it. If you're there for a short period of time, you can kind of get back to your normal lifestyle. But when you get out, you ain't used to, I've been on a bus, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So you kind of lost in a sense. It's a new world. It's like the multiverse. I'm somewhere I'm not really engaging in what's really going on. I'm behind the times on lingo, social media, what's this, the phone. I went in with a flip phone. Now y'all got, smartphones. I don't know how to use this. Give me a flip phone because I'm comfortable with it.
Wow. A reason why, man, I was so interested in this interview because one of my son's friend, he got incarcerated, and we get to talk to him. I talked to him about a week or so ago or two, and I got to see him, and I was so like it made me happy to see him, Tawan, and I really want this young man to come out of prison and do the best he can with what he has in his life. If he gets out, Give me. I mean, can you give me some first steps or some things we could do to try to mentally not put him in a place to want to feel like it's better to be in prison than to be out of prison? I mean, is this something we can?
I mean, the first step is he has to own on his own terms. He has to own the reason why he's there. He has to take ownership and responsibility for what the mistake he made to put him in that position. It takes our whole process is it takes you 30 seconds to make a left or a right decision when you get to a stop sign or stoplight.
Absolutely.
You got to be able to figure out, and when hey, I'm doing this, is this the right path for me? Should I really be here? Let me escape from this situation. This could go bad. I think this is me personally. Once he owns that and realizes what that mistake is, it's easier to let other people in and give him more guidance to say, hey, you made a mistake. It's okay. And that's the step that he got to understand too. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay for you to be like, I effed up. But just like you do your kid, now it's time for you to stand back up and rebuild yourself in a different platform. Do you want help? And that's another thing we don't ask for, especially as African Americans. We don't ask for help.
Wow.
Because as men, what stands in our way the most? Pride.
Yes, sir. But coming up out of a prison, I wouldn't have no pride, dog. I come out of that thing, me personally, asking help me get to the next level. So I'm praying for this young man, and I'm praying that when he go ahead, bro.
Yeah, continue to lift his spirits because he's gonna need it.
Wow.
Because a lot of times these guys don't have the only resource they got that's comfort them is what's inside the prison, the chaplain, a counselor. And that's why they get mad when they don't get these responses back. I can't talk to my family like I want to because they at work, they doing their thing. I don't have nobody to talk to. So I'm either talking to the officer or I'm being goofy or talking crap or being belligerent or cursing, and that's not that they doing it on to really, I would say sometimes not to really hurt the officer in a sense, but it's their entertainment.
Wow.
So they do it for entertainment to see what they can get away with, So a lot of times they don't have that outlet that we can have with, hey, I got a problem. I pick up the phone, like, hey, T, let me holler at you about something. And we have a whole 45-minute conversation. They don't have it, So whatever time you can do to just keep him motivated, to keep him built up and get him to understand, like, own it and get past it, he'll be okay.
Wow.
So what's going on, Sergeant Whitfield? So on the inside, so basically, do they have time to, I know they go out in the yard, and so that's just like a little free time outside. But do they get to go, I mean, I don't know, do they have a library they can go to, get some books so they can read? Do they have a game room where they can go play games? Or is it just strictly you in prison, you're going to go to your cell, you go to get your bath, you get your food, and back in your cell?
So you kind of got both. And when I say this, by me being a receiving center, you're not going to be you shouldn't be at our location for a long period of time, 30, 60, 90 days, something like that in most cases. When you go to your actual housing unit or housing joint, once you get sentenced from the judge or what your classification going to be, once you get to those locations, that determines how much of law library you get, commissary you get, which would be shopping for products, food, hygiene, things of that nature, barbershop, can I take classes, things of that nature. It's for us at the receiving center, it's more so like you go yard, your out of cell time is determined based upon the counselor's giving you crossword puzzles to work on and keep your mind focused on other things. The chaplains, they'll come in and hand out scriptures, books for them to read to keep them motivated spiritually. So those are the small things that occur in our facility, but it's more enhanced. Like when we have guys that come in for court writs, they have access to law library to fight their cases. but you get a bigger time frame and more things admitted to you once you get to your housing zone.
Okay.
So I want to go down a different lane with you, brother. Doing this type of job and dealing with what you deal with, how does your family, first of all, how do they adjust to knowing that you're in, could be in harm's danger, in the way of danger, or anything can happen, but how does your family deal with it, and how do you help your mentor? Because I know you have to deal with a lot, just going to that job, brother. So how do you deal with your mental, and how does your family support you, and how do you support them? What are some of the things, or how do you keep them in a position to where they're calm with you going to this job, brother?
Over the years, I will definitely say that, and it's funny because we just talked about this with my wife. I've been on a 3 to 11 shift for almost 13 years. Before that, dealing with the health club, I worked long hours in the afternoon, so I wasn't really able to really engage in a lot of family activities like I really wanted to. And it is stressful for your household, as far as quality time being there, you miss things and things of that nature. But I would definitely say it, as my wife and my kids, they're very strong willed. They understood what my mission was. They understood, I come in, they ask me questions, I tell them. Sometimes they be like, I don't want to know. And then sometimes I tell them, being in full detail, like I had to do this today. And they be like, oh, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. But they see how I train. They see how I move. They see how I engage with certain situations, whether I'm here or outside in the world, how I do things. And I think the way I've trained and done things, they know they're protected. And I think that's the part of it where I feel they always feel safe. If we go to a restaurant, I never sit with my back to the door. I always see where the exits are, and I try to teach them the same thing. How many exits in this restaurant if something happens? That's something we don't think about.
I sure don't think about that.
It could be, at the nightclub, just a lounge at a jazz club. You like, okay, it's a bathroom there, it's an exit here, it's 2 doors right here. Something happen, I can get behind. I think about all that, and it's weird because I probably never thought about that working before this job, but that spidey sense that I've learned to engage in is more rapidly ensured, and now I realize like it's just a protective phase that we do for our kids, for our family. So I think I think they're comfortable with it. They see me as a fireman, so they know like dad'll be home.
Yeah.
He gonna make sure he gonna find a way to get home. So I'm gonna do everything I can to get home.
So your mental space, bro. What do you deal with? Anything trauma or any type of situation? Just seeing what you see on a day-to-day basis.
My outlets is really at 3:00. It's strictly family. I think it's more engaged now. I would definitely say, I tell my wife, me going on day shift was definitely different. Coming out 3:00, seeing the sunlight, like, man, it's weird, but it has definitely put a better toll on our relationship, our family, doing things together, things like that. So that mental state that I probably was kind of being close minded to, not knowing that she might have picked up on that wasn't aware of, definitely has made change. That's what I mean. That's what I can, feel on my own terms. But I would say this: it takes a strong person to put somebody in check, and that's something she holds me accountable for. She'll tell me if I'm messing up, if I'm, and I appreciate that. You can't wear it on your sleeve and be like, man, no. It's a reason why we tell each other that. So I think I'm better because of her.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm better because of my kids. So
that's your stress reliever right there. Your
that's
family.
my stress
That's
release.
good.
Seeing them doing what they're doing, and that's a stress. It's a peace of mind.
Look, I say this to so many men out there, and they don't understand when single men, it's not good for men to be alone. That's word. That's Bible. I'm not saying that every man is
I ain't
supposed to
lying.
be married, but it's not good for a man to be alone because, brother, if you had to deal with the stuff that you're dealing with by yourself, brother, it could take you down a lot of different paths. And this is the question I want to throw this in real quick, man. At this job, what has it taught you about human behavior? Just seeing what you see. What has it taught you about human behavior?
I've seen a lot. And when I say a lot, I've seen, give you a kind of a crossroads. Being a fireman, we see accidents, ambulance accidents. You think, oh, hopefully they're okay. You see cuts, bruises, limbs, all kind of stuff, right? In the prison system you see fights, you're gonna see, cuts, somebody needs stitches. You gotta take somebody outside hospital because they smashed their finger and it's halfway cut off. We got some guys who stick objects in a body that they had to go to the hospital and get it removed. So I've seen a lot of things that in most cases people be like, oh, that's 1,000% growth. I don't want to hear about it. But if you can watch Freddy Krueger, or a scary movie, it's the same thing. So your mindset got to be like, it's real. I'm looking like, but you got to have tough skin. I've had to deal with death in the prison, unfortunately. And, that's never a good thing, especially for the individuals who family got to hear about it. It ain't good for the officer that got to report it, because that's a whole mental aspect for them to deal with as well. They might not be coming to work for the next couple days or months because they traumatized. So we have a staff wellness team that's available that they can talk to throughout that whole process. And they'll continue to talk to them until they feel like they're in a state where they're comfortable to engage and come back and continue doing certain things or work. I've had an officer come in and normally he was, I'm not going to say quiet, but he was kind of sarcastically joke. And he came in one day and was like, man, I need to talk to somebody. And he went and talked to another officer and the officer blew him off. We were running lines and he was let an individual in custody, inmate out, or we call him individual in custody or resident. He let him out and, long story short, when the guy wasn't listening to him, he got out of pocket. The officer started getting kind of loud and boisterous and angry and things like that. I'm like, hey, what's going on? So I locked the guy up, pulled the guy in the office. And when I put him in the office, he clenched his fist. And I'm like, you need to relax, calm down. What's going on? He finally did calm down. We actually got to talking and he's like, I quit. I can't do this no more. And I'm like, wow. He said, I tried to talk to another officer. They blew me off. I'm fed up. And I asked him, I said, well, what's really going on? What made you at this point? This job might not be for everybody. And I get that. But what's really going on with you that this changed today versus a week ago? The man was having his third kid, found out he was on his third kid. His wife was pregnant and he was just mentally going through it. And he didn't have a release to talk to nobody. So at that point in time, we went, pulled him out, told to talk to our lieutenant, had him talk to the wellness team. got his information. They talked to him. I talked to him afterward. I've talked to him about, he quit. I will say that. But within the past couple months that I did engage with him, he was happy. He was with his family. He was proud that he had a kid. He found another job that he wanted to do that he was comfortable with. And it was just, he said that mentally he just couldn't deal with the fact that those guys was locked up like that, and he couldn't engage, he couldn't separate. He felt he was in the same position they were in.
That's crazy.
And it was. It was really the first time that I really realized it's an on-off switch that can be changed instantly when you think, well, man, like you said, you go in and they close that gate and you kind of locked in with them. I can't talk to my family. I can't talk to, I'm in here just as much as they in here. You know, you got to be able to know how to separate it. Wow. You got to be able to find some type of outlet to talk, because it can get to you if you don't know how.
Wow.
So, Twan, real quick, do y'all have female officers as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's the best way to put it? Once you become an officer, that's who you are. Whether you're male or female, you could be of a different community. In a sense, it doesn't matter. You're an officer. Your obligation is the same as everybody else. The same work ethic applies. The same training applies. It's no different. The only thing that may change is maybe your assignment, which is not, can change day to day, but that's pretty much the only difference.
Okay. I wasn't sure how the females, because some men are more powerful than some of the females. I wasn't sure how that pan out, as far as them breaking up fights or,
Well, we've had, again, it goes by personality. We don't expect, it's some guys there that I've been in situations where two guys are getting in an altercation, and the guys don't step up and a female will. And say, hey, stop. And again, you look at the guy like, you weren't going to say nothing? We've had situations where when incidents happen or a fight break out, for example, you get guys who go to boxing classes, right? You can take all the boxing classes that you want. But when you get into an actual fight and somebody actually hits you and you get rocked, your boxing skills just went out the window.
Wow.
Your neck done pop. You like, oh Lord. Your mechanism go back to you not doing this to trying to defend yourself. It happens. We call it cold white, and it can be the simplest things. Your response time is different. Wow. It's the deer with the headlights. 30 seconds in that, you like, man, I didn't know what happened. I don't even know who was here. I was standing right beside you. I didn't know that.
So, brother, this is my last two questions that I got for you before the night ends. To you. And my question: what's one thing that you want people to know about inmates? And then this is the second part to it. If you could change one thing about the prison system, what would it be, brother?
Wow. Let's go back to the first question. Say that one more time.
What's one thing you want people to know about inmates?
One, they still people. They're still human.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're a grown man, you're a grown woman. Treat them accordingly. Just because you got a badge, and I'll say this. Sometimes you get that, you ever seen that kid that got bullied in school and they get a job and they want to bully everybody else? Yeah. That ain't this.
Right.
That ain't why you put on a badge. You put on a badge for a certain aspect of respect, or a certain aspect of call of duty to serve.
That's good.
Your job is to serve. A peace officer is to serve the public. That's what you're still doing at the end of the day. So as long as you serving the people and you doing what's right and you being fair and consistent, you shouldn't have any problems. You shouldn't have to worry about, am I stressed out about my day at work? If I'm fair and consistent, it shouldn't change because they know that's what it is. I'm being treated accordingly. But like I said, you can't, our job ain't to judge. We there to do a job. I'm here to feed you. Make sure you're supposed to get what you got coming. Give you a shower, give you a phone, and keep it moving. That's what the day-to-day is. It's not personal. When you start taking stuff personal, is when it starts affecting you overall.
Overall, yeah, man, yeah. So that last one, what if it was something that you could change about the prison system? What would it be?
That's a lot.
Woo, loaded.
That's
question.
a lot. That's a loaded. That's a lot of bullets in the chamber. I would say this: people who working on a day to day, is one element of it, right? I see what's going on day to day. I can change this, and I try to change what I see that I can physically change on a day to day. But it also goes back to people who are not working in those shoes on a day to day, but dictating, oh, I need you to run this program. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And our boss is like, my supervisor told me to run it, so make it happen. And they telling us we got to run it. I might be understaffed. It may be a abundance of things may be in place, but that job got to be done. And I think the only thing that I would probably say is change is like, it has to be a better communication system across the board, and not just for us, but across every situation. That it's even though it's a standard, there's always going to be loopholes and lacks that's going to happen from supplies not being processed on time, paperwork not being processed on time from the judge, and things of that nature. It could be PIN numbers, counseling. It can be a bunch of issues that don't happen in place because there's so many people locked up. If your job come in and you like, I'm a counselor and I got to see, A through D units, and you like, man, that's 400 people that you got to deal with on a course, or 300 people. You like, man, I can't get to everybody at one big rip, and it's 30 piling up because they writing you every day. I need this, I need that, so it's just constantly piling up, and you like, it gets behind. So their stress level is also important too. It's not just the officer; it's every aspect of it, nurses, everything. So it's a lot of communication that has to be really pushed and groomed.
Well, brother, it's been amazing talking to you, man. And like I say, I'm praying for my young brother that's in prison, that's really connected. I'm praying for all of them as well. Yeah. Yes, Monica. Yes.
And don't only them, the officers, the sergeants, everyone that's there. Just like you pray for the children in school, you pray for the teachers, the principals, the cafeteria workers, the same as in the prison system. Everybody, all the workers, to keep you all safe. Around the inmates, and then the inmates, just pray that they get on the right path. God renews their mind and their heart, so when they come out into the society, they can be a better person, so they would not have to go back in.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's definitely the key,
brother. It's been amazing talking to you tonight. I appreciate you, man. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we get off the air tonight, brother?
Don't get locked up. Stay free.
Hey, I'm with you on that, Sergeant.
Stay free.
So proud of you, Dad.
That was so good. Stay free. So I love you, brother. Y'all be blessed on tonight. He is your GOAT, and we love y'all. You have been listening to WFTB 104.1 FM. Tab Nashville Gospel Radio. We love you all out there. Y'all be blessed. Monica, you got anything you want to say to the people?
Be blessed. Have a great afternoon.
All right.
Be blessed.
Love y'all.
Love you.
I told y'all it was going to be a good conversation. Sacrificial Conversations. Did you subscribe yet? Hit that like button. You might get something that's going to help your life. Y'all be blessed.